What's good, YouTube? It's your boy JusticeXFalls. We back at it again with another video. And today we're looking at some more Alan Wake. Sam Lake explains the Alan Wake story so far. So if you need a refresher on what's going on, or if you don't know what's going on at all, you can check out this video and it'll tell you what's going on. It's part of the IGN first series. They take a month before the game comes out and they review a lot of different, they go over a lot of different points and they talk to the developers and whatnot, and you can see exclusive gameplay. So we're gonna check that out. Laundry, that's why I'm dressed like this, and plus I'm probably gonna hit the gym after this. So after I do these 5 reactions, so that's why you see me not dressed with how I'm normally dressed. So you know, and if you didn't know, I do have a tattoo. If y'all didn't know, I do have a tattoo. It's on my IG if you want to see it better. You just have to scroll back a while. But yeah, it's a Grim Reaper because I have this fascination with death and things of that nature. So enough about me. Let's get to Alan Wake. Let's without further ado, let's get to the video.
Alan Wake? Oh God, I am your biggest fan.
The story of Alan Wake, his American Nightmare DLC, and Ventures into Control is one full of twists and turns through dreams and reality. To help us untangle the tale is Remedy creative director Sam Lake, who has kindly recapped the horror writer's past for us as concisely as possible. Or at least that was the aim.
Okay, let's see where we get. 5 minutes is pretty tight.
Ahead of Alan Wake 2, here is the Alan Wake story so far.
My name is Alan Wake.
Let's get it.
I'm a writer.
Alan Wake is a New York-based successful writer. He has made his career hugely successful writing these hardboiled crime books set in New York. But he is not satisfied. He's struggling with his life. He's struggling with his marriage with his wife, Alice, who is a photographer. He just feels that this commercial literature, he's seen all of it. He wants to move and do something more about kind of like from him and more artistic. So he kills off his cash cow, Alex Casey. And then he hits a block and he discovers that he tries to write, he can't. His life is spiraling.
Okay, so he killed off one of the main characters in his book because he wanted to try something different, and that didn't work out for him. He got into it. I remember the part where he was like in a crazy like writer's block for a bit. I do remember that.
Out of control, he's drinking too much and arguing with his wife, and ultimately Alice suggests that they should just go away and have a break and kind of have a vacation. It's kind of a last-ditch attempt to fix their marriage. So they go on a vacation to Pacific Northwest, this kind of an idyllic, beautiful, majestic landscape, quirky, idyllic small town setting of Bright Falls.
We need to stop at the local diner to get the cabin key from the landlord, a Mr. Carl Stuckey. He's waiting for us.
And they have rented the cabin. And they arrive. There is some confusion. They don't meet the landlord who is supposed to deliver the keys and directions. Instead, Alan meets this kind of a creepy old lady in a funeral costume, Barbara Chacker, who hands him the keys and directions.
I wish you a good stay in my cabin. I'll come by later to check how you've settled in.
They go to the cabin. They are slightly surprised that it's not what was advertised. It's this, but it's gorgeous. It's this small island on this caldera lake called Cauldron Lake. They settle.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of fire. Like, if I'm renting a John for me and my shorty, and it's like it's a little island walk-up situation, it's kind of fire. Minus the spooky shit that's gonna happen, you know, afterwards.
That's when Alice reveals that she's been in talks with a local doctor called Dr. Hartman.
He has a private clinic here. He specializes in helping artists. Maybe
So now you want to get me committed?
No, it's not like that. That's not...
He gets really mad about this. He doesn't want to do anything. He didn't come here to write. He storms out of the cabin, cools off, and then suddenly he hears Alice screaming for help. He rushes in, sees her disappear off the edge of the balcony, feels that she has fallen in, dives after her. Everything goes black. He wakes up in a car crash on a forest road at night, confused, starts to find pages of a novel, the title page, like saying that he's the writer. He can't remember writing any of this, but the title of the book, Departure, is what he has been mulling in his mind.
That was the name I planned to use for the next novel I had never gotten started.
These pages are clearly a horror story talking about this kind of a supernatural force of darkness waking up and starting to take over the locals. All of this starts to come true. He runs into the landlord that they missed. He's covered in shadows, angry, crazy, attacks him. He manages to defend himself with a flashlight. And so light is an active mechanic against forces of darkness. And then kind of getting back to civilization from the forest, he runs into the local sheriff, and she is saying that there is no island. There used to be an island on the lake. There is an active volcano under the caldera. There was an earthquake in 1970 and the island sunk in. There is no island.
You look like you've taken a pretty bad knock to the head.
So he's confused, he's struggling, trying to piece it together. His agent, Barry Wheeler, comes to help him.
I don't like it, Al. I don't like any of it. It's not good. In fact, it's the absolute opposite of good.
He keeps finding more pages, and this horror becomes like more and more real around them. There seems to be some sort of a force of darkness, the dark presence, trying to get him. He ends up at the clinic, and Dr. Hartman is claiming that Alice drowned, and he is kind of blocking that out and coming up with this fantasy to deal with it, and he should stay at the clinic under his care. But there are other patients there as well. There are these old crazy rockers, Tor and Odin Anderson, who used to have a heavy metal band. They are saying, this is happening for real. This is a special place. Art can kind of like change reality here.
It takes crazy to know crazy.
That is true. This is a very interesting and deeply layered story. Like I don't even remember this because I played it back in like the 360 days, but I never finished it. I have the remastered one on PlayStation 5. I still haven't finished. I got to get around to finishing it.
That's the sanest thing I've heard in a while.
And they give him directions to act upon. He decides to trust them, the crazy guys, instead of this doctor. Escapes, experiences some visions that show him the missing week, diving into the lake and waking up in the crashed car where he's been trapped in the cabin, because we find that there is this kind of an opening into a nightmare dimension under Cauldron Lake. He calls it the dark place. It's kind of this nightmare dream reality, and he was trapped there for a week. Barbara Jagger, this old lady who is also the dark presence, made him, holding Alice hostage, made him write this story that would have this fiction come true and release the dark presence and empower the dark presence.
I wrote it. It's my fault.
But he started to understand this because this has happened before, and he was finding evidence that in late 60s, there was this other artist, this poet living at Cauldron Lake, Thomas Zane. His fiancée, Barbara Jagger, they were there, and she drowned. Then he started figuring out that this place has power and fiction can change reality, and he wrote her back to life. But because these forces of darkness in the dark place are affecting reality, actually she came back wrong. It was actually the dark presence in her shape. And he realized his mistake. He tried to correct it. He killed her, carved out her heart, and he was an enthusiastic diver. So he tried to kind of rewrite reality to take all of his mistakes out and dove into the lake with her and disappeared.
Stole the skin of my wife a long time ago. She looks so old.
I will show you this. A light switch. See? Alan Wake's background. As a child, he was afraid to go to sleep. He was seeing a lot of nightmares. Mother had given us kind of a chunk toy and said that this is from your father. It will make the scary things go away. When Alice was afraid of the dark, he gave it to her. And now he finds it as if it had been left behind by Thomas Zane as a gift for him. With fiction coming true, we have this confusion and these open questions like, how did Thomas Zane know about this? Did his writing back in the day affect what Alan Wake is experiencing, change reality around him? Or is it now Alan Wake's writing conjuring up Thomas Zane as a helper for him. We don't know. He gets the clicker. It's a powerful tool against forces of darkness, a light switch.
I can get to her now. I can finish this.
He dives into Cauldron Lake, goes in.
I like that concept, of light and darkness. That's always like a classic, clash, and it's an easy tool you can use when writing story like light versus dark. And I like the way they handle it. They handle it in a very conventional way, but in a very supernatural way at the same time. Like, you're facing dark enemies. How you defeat them? Shine light on them. You get this ultimate weapon that was used as I guess in the same way you would have like a fidget spinner, just to keep you occupied, just to keep you from being anxious and being scared. But in this alternate reality, when you jump through the lake and go to that alternate reality, it is a almighty powerful tool to use to get you through these situations. That's dope. Dope concept.
Into the dark place, finds the cabin there, faces Barbara Jacker, the dark presence there. She has a hole in her chest because Thomas Zane cut out her heart, shoves the light switch in, flicks the switch, light blooms, and the dark presence is banished. He writes the cabin in the dark place an ending to the story because there was no ending. It needs to follow certain laws of drama. At least to him it's important that this fiction comes true, and he writes Alice out from the prison that the dark presence trapped her in the dark place. He has to pay a price, so he is stuck in there. And that's where we leave him.
It's not a lake.
You come to IGN.
It's not a lake. Oh shit.
To laugh, to cry.
There's DLC though. Is he gonna go over the DLC and like how it connects to Control? It's not a lake. It's an ocean.
Wake up.
We had downloadable episodes. They show his crazy struggle in the dark place. It goes pretty kind of wild and nightmarish. And we have this idea that because it's really kind of taxing and it's hard not to go crazy, he kind of goes crazy. And we split him apart. So the crazy part is stuck in the cabin, but we are actually playing an aspect of him trying to get to that cabin to kind of fix things. In the end, he does. And he sits down to write a new story to escape.
My name is Alan Wake, and I'm a writer.
Then Alan Wake's American Nightmare came out. Early on in his career, he was screenwriting for this anthology show called Night Springs, which is kind of an anthology show of horror and sci-fi and speculative fiction.
Night Springs.
He wrote some episodes, and now desperate in the dark place, he's kind of like trying many different things because he keeps failing. He tries to write fiction that would allow him to escape, change the dark place around him to open up and release him. But it's very tricky. Spoiling the context of how we see American Nightmare is it's one failed attempt in the context of an episode of Night Springs. We bring in Alan Wake's dark double called Mr. Scratch that we already introduced in the main game. He's the villain. He's trying to get to Alice.
Show yourself! Whatever you say, buddy.
And we are also kind of building this idea that while he is in the dark place writing, he is seeing some glimpses and visions from our world, from the real world, and using them in his writing, trying to make it more real so that the parts that he adds and changes and nudges would come true more readily. So we have Alice with her photography and her video installation art on a festival in Night Springs. Mr. Scratch seemingly has escaped and is threatening her, and Alan tries to stop Mr. Scratch. We are also bringing in elements of, well, the dark place is really messed up because it's kind of a dream logic reality. There is this kind of a looping that he keeps on going through. In the end, he succeeds in defeating Mr. Scratch. It's left open for interpretation. We see Alice's art, which is this video of their earlier holiday when they were happy, and they are reunited in the form of that projection of that film, and it was kind of left like, is this a happy ending? He's still stuck in there. So it's one example of a story he tries to write to escape, but it's a failed attempt. It's an example of failed attempt, and there's been many through the years.
Are these actual events, or merely a dream? A memory, or a glimpse of what is to come?
Now we come to Control finally, and Control reveal. We have Federal Bureau of Control, which is this secret government agency dealing with weird phenomena in the world, paranatural occurrences, altered world events. And we discovered that they actually came to Bright Falls to investigate after the events of original game. And so they know about it. Then in the downloadable episode called AWE, we have Alan Wake in a bigger role. Once again, the idea being that he is seeing glimpses of the real world, including FBC and FBC investigating. So he's bringing that into the story he's writing, kind of nudging and pulling, trying to have change reality so that FBC, in this case Jesse, the new director, would help him.
Jesse Faden could hear it. A call. It was faint.
Okay, so he done got dragged into that other world with the control. Damn, this should go deep.
From a dark place.
You come to IGN for game reviews, to laugh, to cry, to care.
We also kind of pick up with certain strands that kind of have happened in between. Alice starting to see nightmarish glimpses of Alan as a monster at their home. We obviously understand that, well, that sounds like Mr. Scratch. And she comes in to FBC to talk about this. And meanwhile, we discover that Dr. Hartman, having lost everything, but being obsessed about the lake and the dark place and fiction art used to change reality, goes into the lake and comes out as a taken. So he's turned into a monster. FBC has captured him, brought him to their headquarters to examine him. When Alice comes in to have these interviews about what's happening, somehow Hartman senses that and goes berserk. And then when the hiss comes in, it goes into Hartman, and he already has the force of darkness in him, and this kind of like hybrid merges into something really, really monstrous, which is what Jesse will be facing or faced in AWE DLC. We also find some hints that, well, there is an Alex Casey, an FBI agent called Alex Casey, who is looking for Alan Wake and his disappearance and reaching out to FBC. They're wondering about it. Unfortunately, because there are casualties with Hartman and the whole sector is closed down, a lot of these strands on FBC side are left hanging. We don't know what happens to Alice. Clearly, FBC didn't follow up on that, and it's been years ago, like, we don't know. So these elements are still question marks. How this whole thing ends is that we see on monitors an alert of a new altered world events taking place at Cauldron Lake. They have their monitoring station set up there, and now there is an alarm. There is confusion. There shouldn't be any alarm because this place is closed off, but somehow it's coming from the future.
It might be a glitch.
What the
date's
fuck?
A couple of years in the future.
Now we are in that future, and like you will see how that alarm comes to be.
So you got the FBI investigating, trying to find their agent Alex Casey, which is one of the characters in the Alan Wake story. So, and then the FBC they monitor these supernatural events that occur, and they trap these supernatural monsters so they can examine them and figure out how all this shit is happening. So I think what happens in Alan Wake 2, we're going to get a little bit of that Control world as well. We might even get a Control 2. That's what I'm thinking. We might get a Control 2 out of this, because I don't think we've seen the last of the FBC because they have to help control all of the shit that's going on, the supernatural shit that's going on. So, yeah, this is going to be a wild game. I need to hurry up and finish that Alan Wake 1 word. Like, I'm going to have to do that on stream for y'all.
In Alan Wake.
So this is a short game. I think it's only like 15 hours. We'll check after this.
And we are picking up the story from there. Definitely what has been going on with Alice and many other things.
Agent Estevez is the field agent in charge of monitoring the site, so she should be there to let us know if the situation has been through any major changes.
Should be.
How long was that? I'm sorry.
For more on Alan Wake 2, check out our exclusive preview or an explanation of how Remedy are building their connected universe. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
It made perfect sense because the control, you're with the FBC or whatever, Federal Bureau of Control, and they're trying to control these supernatural events as much as they possibly can. So that connects right into the Alan Wake world. That's so dope. I think that's dope that they have a very connected universe. I can smell films coming out of this, but I hope that they don't goof it up because these games are really good. The control is really good. Alan Wake 1 is really good, and Alan Wake 2 is setting up to be something that takes this to the next level. I know people trying to shit on Quantum Dream, but I've been like playing it on the side, low key. Like I know if you see my streams, you've seen it in my recently played games. Like when you log on, it's alright. I ain't really, it wasn't as fleshed out as an Alan Wake 2 or Alan Wake or Control, but they took a lot of elements from Quantum Dream to make some of those other games that they had, subsequently after it came out. So, yeah, I think this would be dope. So, I might have to play Alan Wake on stream for y'all. I have to knock that out before this month is out because I got a slot opening up. The expansion shouldn't take that long, and then neither should the Batman Enemy Within. So I got some slots opening up. I might have to slide Alan Wake in there. Yeah, we definitely gonna slide Alan Wake in there. And then at some point, Spider-Man is coming out too. Lords of the Fallen is dropping on the 13th. I'm gonna have to throw that in there too. But I don't know if I want to play two Souls-like games at once. I think I need to beat Liza P, then maybe revisit Armored Core, and then go to Lords of the Fallen. Because I don't know if I want to play two Souls game on streams at one time, especially with all these Telltale games I want to play. I want to finish all the Telltale games. Now I'm sucked in. Like I want to finish all the Telltale games. I finished Batman Telltale series. I'm doing the Expanse now, and I'm doing Batman Enemy Within starting Wednesday, and then after I do that, I'm gonna do the Wolf Among Us, and the Wolf Among Us 2 is gonna be coming out soon, so we're gonna do that as well, and The Walking Dead, and I'm doing The Walking Dead. So you go get a lot of Telltale games on my stream. But back to the main point, we definitely gonna be adding Alan Wake into the rotation. I have to do that. I have to do it. Cause let me check how long this shit is. Alan Wake. Usually what I do is I go to How Long to Beat. How Long to Beat. They said main story is an average 11 hours and 23 minutes. Main story extra 14 minutes. Completion is 27 hours. All play styles 13. So on average it's 13 hours. We could finish that. If we play that, if we add that as a Wednesday game, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday game, we can have that done in 2 streams. So I might make that a Monday game to kind of stretch it out a little bit more. I don't know. So yeah. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all excited for Alan Wake 2? Are you copping? Let me know. I'm copping it even though I ain't even finished the first one or the DLC. I'm definitely copping. So y'all let me know if what y'all doing. So y'all already know the vibes. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. This is your boy JusticeXFalls, and we out. One.